Welcome back everyone. This is going to be activity 1, and this is where we're going to outline the IT service strategy. Now keep in mind the strategy is what we want to do. The strategy is the plan. So we're going to be somewhat vague about things here, but I'm going to go through the template. I won't fill every single thing in for this scenario, but I'm going to try and highlight the main things that I've picked up on and then show you how I would fill the template in. So if I zoom all the way in, this is pretty self-explanatory here. You're going to need your name, your candidate number, your center number, and your date. Please keep in mind that your candidate number is not your school registration number. This is a number that comes directly from Pearson's. So when getting your candidate numbers, do not put your school registration number or your college registration number. This is going to be given to you on the day, but just to make it super clear, this comes from Pearson's directly. Then we have center number, that's obviously given to you as well. Date and the organization. This is going to be the name of the company you're working for. And I don't even remember what the name was. I think it was Rico's Restaurant or something along those lines. Again, this is from the 2021 past paper. So whatever company you've been given, I could really open it, but I'm not going to do that now. The first thing we need to do is speak about the organizational needs. So I mentioned before, the organizations is going to have their needs, and the customer are going to have their needs as well. It's a good idea to use the template, separate it as logically as you can. On this side, I'm going to say what the thing is. So the first one I can think of is a POS system, so point of sale system. And the explanation and the priority here, I would say maybe high, no, actually medium at this stage, because it might not be the most important thing. Now I'm going to go over this list again, but I'm just trying to give you an example of what to do. Medium, and then you explain why they need a POS system. POS again is point of sale device or point of sale. So again, on the left hand side, you're going to have the actual thing that's needed, whether it be hardware or software, or the thing that needs to be done. On the right hand side, you're going to have the priority first. That's what I would do. There's no right or wrong way to say it. You could explain everything first, and then at the very end, you could say priority high, priority medium. This is the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to fill this table in, let's say 3 or 4 points, and then I'm going to come back and explain in as much detail as possible what you need to do. Now on the left, I have the actual service that's needed, the actual thing that might be needed. And on the right, again, I have the priority and justification. What I've done, let me zoom in. What I've done is I've separated priority and justification here. You can do it any which way you want. So if you decide you want to have justification first and priority after, once the information is there, there's no wrong way to do this. Just please ensure that you have the priority somewhere, and then you have the justification as well. Now the priority tells you how important this thing is to the organization to do what we need them to be able to do. For example, this company we're speaking about now, 2021 past paper, it's a restaurant. A restaurant having a point of sale system or a till is going to be a very important thing. So I'm going to say high for mine. If you think yours is medium for whatever reason, again, it's purely based on your scenario. Currently, what they're doing is, I believe, taking a piece of paper over or whatever means they use, getting the order from the person, then someone else has to do the calculations, and then after the person does the calculation, they bring it to the kitchen, and then the kitchen will know. That's just a very long-winded process. The way I've answered this is very, well, I would say overly detailed. And then for the other section, which is the customer's needs, I haven't gone as detailed just because hopefully from this section you would have understood what you needed to do. So I've only highlighted a few sections below and given very brief justifications, whereas here I've given as much detail as possible because I want to give context as to why I'm saying what I'm saying. So let me zoom in all the way so you guys can see clearly. This one is point of sale. So again, I said priority was high. The justification, a point of sale or POS is also known as a till system. This is a restaurant, and as such, people making purchases is the most important aspect of the business. Every business's main thing or main goal that they have is to make money. And in some cases, they want massive profits. In some cases, they don't, but we don't care. They need to make money. So the POS, the point of sale system, will help with that a lot. This would allow the restaurant to have a central place where the following can be done. Central place meaning, let's go back to the Nando's example. In the Nando's example, you might have 2 or 3 tills at the front of the restaurant. People can walk in, they can choose a seat, order food, get the food and walk straight out again. So when I say central place, I simply mean, like, for example, at the front of the restaurant. And I've said customers can make orders at a central place in the restaurant and also to make payments. Okay, that's not worded great, but you get what I mean. They can order food and they can make payments straight away. And let me keep going anyway. Workers do not need to concern themselves with calculating the price of an order, as the prices are predetermined, or the price is predetermined. So every item on the list. So when we go into Nando's and we say quarter chicken and 2 sides, I believe that's around, I think it's £9 or £10, something like that. That's a fixed price. And if I needed 15 of those, it would be that fixed price times 15. The person who's taking my order does not need to then go away and get a calculator and work out how much it is. They simply put it in the till, and the till tells them, let's say £10, for example. £10 times 15, £150. Done. Finally, the kitchen staff will be able to see all the orders that have been made without having to wait on a server to bring the order to them. Now, keep in mind the way that this system is currently done. Again, someone goes and gets the order from the customer. The order is then passed on to someone else to do the calculations and then given to the kitchen staff to start making the order. We can skip out all of that with a till system, with a POS system. Think about it like that. I'm going to go back to the Nando's example. You walk into Nando's, you see the person at the till, they say, "Hi, good evening, how are you? How can I help?" You say, "I would like to make an order. I want, I think I said 10 of these things, right? 10 of the chicken leg and the 2 sides, whatever it is." Once they press the item, the price pops up. They don't even need to think about how much the thing costs. Once you tell them what you want and they touch that on the screen or touch it on the tablet or whatever, the price comes up. And again, if you order 15 of those things, they have a fixed price. They tell you the fixed price and it's done. Whereas a human can make an error. It's very easy for us to make mistakes. I might have typed 14 instead of 15, so I would have given away a free item. Whereas this, I can keep pressing it again and again and again, or I might have simply miscalculated something. I mean, hopefully that one makes sense. I think I'm talking too much for that one. The next one I have is PCs, personal computers. I say hi for this one. And again, I've given as much context as I can. There is no right or wrong way to use this equipment. Is purely based on the scenario, and from what I remember, I don't have the paper in front of me, but from what I remember, these are some of the things that the PC could be used for. So again, priority, I say hi. Justification, at least one personal computer will be at the establishment, so at the restaurant. This will allow for a number of tasks or numerous tasks to be completed on site. For example, now this is not an exhaustive list, meaning that this is not every single thing that you can do with a laptop on site. I'm just trying to give context where possible. And again, your justifications don't need to be this long. They can honestly be 2-3 sentences. I would say between 2 and 3 sentences, and you should be fine. I'm going overboard because I'm trying to give context. The owner can update the website. That's something the owner does. The owner can make purchases. So because it's a restaurant, Nando's has a supplier that supplies them with chicken. They probably have a supplier that gives them ketchup, a supplier that gives them salt, a supplier that gives them pepper. The owner can sit down and do all of these purchases from the laptop. I'm not saying it cannot be done from a phone as well or a tablet, but a laptop just makes sense for a business nowadays. Next, we have stock taking can be done digitally using some form of software. So rather, I don't remember what they've said about this, but again, just think about this. When you walk around a shop doing your stock taking, you have to count individual items and you have to say, okay, I have 100 crisps left. I need to go buy 500 more. Stock taking can be done on the laptop. So the laptop's system can be linked to a database when the database is also linked to the POS system. So when you think about that, last week I ordered, let's just say for argument's sake, 100 chicken legs, right? And this week, or last week again, I sold 90 chicken legs. The database is going to update, and the stock taken doesn't even have to be done by me manually. The system will pop up and tell me, in the last 1 week, you've sold 90 chicken legs. You should roughly have about 10 left. One might have dropped or one might not have been good, but in any case, you should have roughly 10 left. You should probably buy some chicken legs, right? So that's how I would try and justify. So this is the thing I need. I haven't specified. Please don't specify too much here, the thing that's needed. Specify the overarching thing. So I say PC. and I tell the things that the PC might need to be able to do. And it's in activity 2, IT components or IT service catalog, actually, that we actually go and say the PC I think would be good for this company is so and so. But let me leave that for now. I say email messaging application or service. I say priority medium. Now, I could easily have this as high. Let me explain why. There are several people involved in the running of this restaurant: the owner, managers, servers, IT, and the accountant. Now, the last two are consultants, so they are not hired by the company directly, getting a monthly wage. When they need to do something, they are brought in to do something. Having a central place to communicate to all parties from should. Okay, that's a bit weird. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But essentially what I meant was having a single app or a single place that you can communicate with everyone. So you could have a group. The owner can create a group with just the managers. The owner can create a group with just the servers. Then the owner could create another group on, I don't know, Teams or WhatsApp or something with the owners and, with the managers and the servers. And then the owner could create a private messaging thing with IT and accounts so that they can speak back and forth when they need to. It also allows for individuals to be given set tasks, which are not simply word of mouth. Messages can be sent to individuals or groups of people at once. There's going to be a trail of what was said. That's another good thing about having an email or a messaging system. It is a nice way to have a trail. So I could tell person A, oh, can you please do this for me every Monday? They won't remember. And they can simply say to me, oh, I didn't remember. On the other hand, I could have an app that sends a reminder. Say, I think Teams does this, Google Messages does this. I can say, can you please do this activity every Monday at 1 p.m.? It should take you roughly half an hour to an hour. And that's it, done. So the person on the other end would get a message every Monday, and they would have something added to their calendar as well. Again, I'm going overboard trying to explain what is needed. So this is the thing that's needed again. This is the thing that's needed. The priority I've said is medium. I could say high as well, medium stroke high, but you choose one and justify why you think it's needed. They need to communicate. This is probably the most efficient way of communicating, rather than simply telling some people not being there, some people not being present. If you message everyone, you're somewhat guaranteed that everyone will get the message. Next one I have is cloud storage. Priority, I would say high. There are going to be files that need to be shared with individuals, and having a cloud platform can help manage who has access and for how long. It can also keep a log of who access the files, making it easier to trace the cause of an attack if there is one. Collaborating on a service such as Google Drive or OneDrive would ensure that the necessary parties can all have access to the most up-to-date information as quickly and as easily as possible from wherever they are. I think I messed up the wording there again, like I always do, but essentially what this means, think about this, right? Teachers, lecturers, students, when you want to work collaboratively with someone, when you want to work with someone on a piece of work, the absolute best way to do that is to use some form of cloud platform. I'm going to stick to Google Drive because I love Google Drive. OneDrive works in exactly the same way, it just looks different. I could create a Word document. I could share it with my mother, my father, my sisters, my cousins, my grandmother, everyone. And I could tell each person, this is a section that you have to do. And I can give each person specific access, like special access. So I can say, okay, Dad's birthday is coming up. So this Word document, everyone else has access except for Dad, because obviously it might be a surprise for Dad. We don't want him to know, and so on and so forth. So the same thing can be done in a company. I might only want to share some information with IT. I might only want to share some information with accounts. So it would make sense for me to share something with them and only give them access so no one else can access it. And again, working together across the internet is very, very useful once the security features are in place, because I can be in Jamaica working, the accountant can be in, I don't know, South America working, the IT guy can be in Dubai working, and we can still communicate as effectively as if we were in the same country sending emails and messages. It's exactly the same thing. The next one I have is the Data Protection Act and the Computer Misuse Act. I've put these in here because I think it's always a good idea to at least have those. I've put a few more as well, but let me go through these first. I say priority high for both. Protecting the data of customers and staff should be at the forefront of all businesses due to the rise in cybercrime in recent years. The organization needs to have policies in place which ensure that data is kept safe. Only individuals that need to access the data can access it, and that it is not used for any purpose other than the originally intended purpose. So pretty straightforward there, I think. And same thing for Computer Misuse Act. The company, I'm not going to read this, but the company needs to just ensure that they have policies in place that deter people from misusing their systems, that deter people from stealing data. Is very obvious what the penalties would be if they were to do something bad. And down here I have Health and Safety Act, Wi-Fi. Let me quickly just explain this one. I didn't put any notes for it because I wanted to just try and explain as quickly as I could. Health and safety, we're in a kitchen, we're cooking. We don't want people walking around with phones or tablets or pieces of paper whilst they're trying to cook a piece of chicken. Again, I'm going back to the Nando's example. We don't want that. We want maybe a stationary screen in the kitchen somewhere that people can glance over, look at the order that they need to do that order, and maybe just click OK, order finished. Wi-Fi, I did this one loosely. It wasn't supposed to be Wi-Fi per se, but just a network connection that everyone can access. And because I'm saying that they should have mobile phones underneath and tablets as well, these are most likely going to be connected to Wi-Fi. So I said Wi-Fi there. Priority of Wi-Fi, I say for the future, would be high because it's the easiest way to connect. It's the most convenient way, not the easiest way, the most convenient way to connect smart devices to the network. Mobile smartphones and or tablets, let's just group those together. Rather than having, I don't know how the person takes the order now, but rather than having the person write down on a piece of paper what needs to be ordered, let's say, you could have a smartphone or a tablet that has a website or has an app or some app that we can pay a monthly subscription for. That doesn't really matter. We can have that instead of the option of writing down on paper. Next, we have anti-malware software. Anti-malware. I said firewall and antivirus. So this is software. I'm not specifying which ones, but as standard practice, every business should have anti-malware software installed on each host device. Host devices are simply the endpoint devices. So your mobile phone, your tablet, your laptops, your smart, whatever you're using, those are the endpoint devices. So that's the thing that the user actually uses. I've also said a hardware firewall because you don't want people getting into your network easy. I would probably put a server as well, but the only reason I didn't for this one is because I said earlier we're going to be using cloud storage or some cloud platform. So because of that, I'm not going to put server, but if your scenario needs the data to be kept securely at the company, then you would 100% need hardware firewall. You'd 100% need anti-malware. You'd 100% need a switch, most likely. You 100% need servers. And what I've said here is 2 ISPs, so that's internet service providers. And I've said, for example, the ones I've given here, Virgin Fiber and EE 4G 5G. Now, we're not supposed to go too detailed into this, but I wanted to explain why I said Virgin Fiber and EE 4G and 5G. Reason being, Virgin uses a cable that comes to your house from wherever it comes from, plugs into your house somewhere, and that's how you get your internet, let's say. Ideally, you want to have 2 internet service providers because you're taking payments. You don't want to not be able to take card payments because something's gone down. In the UK now, in most countries around the world, well, not most, but a lot of countries around the world are moving away from cash and trying to move to a cashless system. People can tap and pay with their phones, tap and pay with their bank cards, transfer to the company's bank account, whatever way they want to do it. But you will need to have access to the internet to be able to access some of these services. So back to Virgin again. Virgin gives you a cable. But let's just say, for argument's sake, someone came and chopped down all the cables in your street where the restaurant is, or an accident happened, all of them burnt up. You wouldn't be able to actually use the internet to use the services that you want. So that's why I also said EE or Vodafone or Virgin, whichever, 4G or 5G, because there are no cables involved. It might not be as fast as Virgin fiber optic internet, but 4G and 5G should be more than good enough for a generic, a simple restaurant to try and get a connection to the internet, to be able to take card payments, to keep the website up and running, whatever the case is. And these 4G, 5G modems, as they would be called, or routers, they will actually have Wi-Fi to be able to connect all devices again. So 2 ISPs would be good. One will break. If you have 2, one of them will most likely break. If you have 1, that one will definitely break. If you have 3, might be overkill for a restaurant, but at least it will ensure that the downtime that you have is essentially 0. It's never going to be absolute zero, but it's essentially zero. Now we're on to customer needs, and I've only mentioned a few things here. Mobile and smartphone with browser or app. Priority high. A smart device will need to be used in order to make online orders in the future once such feature is implemented. Now, the reason I highlighted browser was that I personally think a browser for a relatively small company like this would make more sense. Reason I say that, yes, Nando's has an app, yes, they have a website and the app is wonderful and fine. However, for a company that can only house 60 people at a time, they didn't mention it was a chain or anything, so it's probably not a massive, big company. A browser, a website makes a lot more sense for ordering stuff, because if you think about it, if you have an app, you have to create an app for Android and iOS and whatever other operating system pops up that becomes popular as well. Whereas a browser, whatever smart device you have, smart TV, laptop, tablet, phone, smartwatch, smart fridge, whatever you have, you can connect to the internet, you can connect to the website and have access to all the information you want and be able to order as well. So that's just my preference there based on this scenario. If your scenario says that they want to have an app in the future for whatever purpose, then you would say app. The next one I have is restaurant Wi-Fi access stroke mobile network. And again, this is for the customers or the people that need to come to the restaurant. I've said priority high. There will be no way to order online without making use of an active internet connection. And I've said access to the restaurant's Wi-Fi, because some restaurants, they give you Wi-Fi once you're there for like an hour or two. Or you can have a mobile network if you're using your own mobile phone. Restaurant owned tablet per table. This is probably not the most sensible way to do this, but I've said priority medium stroke low. Useful if the restaurant had a tablet at each table that is connected to the network connection, but not absolutely necessary, because most people today nowadays really and truly have smartphones, and once you give them Wi-Fi, that should be more than good enough. But this is a good contingency just in case something happens. We have Data Protection Act again, and we have Computer Misuse Act again. I would probably do health and safety as well. It's a restaurant, food, hot food, flames and stuff like that. So whatever your scenario needs you to do, think about the things that need to be done by the company. Think about the things that need to be done by the person using the company. So the customer, the clients, whatever you want to label it as. Then also think about how important is that thing to the running of the business. For example, I mentioned the first one was a POS, a point of sale system. I think very important, because it would alleviate the issue of writing down orders and doing the calculations, everything I mentioned before. I think a PC, again, very important. I don't think, let me scroll down, maybe, oh Lord, which one can I choose? Maybe having 2 ISPs is not the most important thing in the world, because worst case, we can take cash. Worst case, they can transfer to our bank accounts and show us confirmation. Worst case. But again, we're trying to make life easy. We need to design a system that's robust, in the sense that if one thing goes down, the system will most likely still keep working. It's very unlikely that 4G and 5G will go down at the same time that Virgin Fiber goes down, because one is using cable and one is using radio waves, so wireless technology. Well, hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that was useful. I will try and do activity 2 as soon as I can. Thank you for watching.